So every relationship that we get into, whether we realize it or not, inadvertently teaches us something about ourselves. As I mentioned in a previous video, um, when I was getting ready yesterday, um, or the other day, because I don't even know when I'm gonna post this, I got a download, and it came in hot, like fast. Don't miss it. I almost did. Just kidding. I didn't miss it. And I realized that I wanted to talk about the negative and positive aspects of each relationship that you get into. But the one ongoing relationship that you have with yourself is always redefined and redealt with as you are in and out of these relationships, right? Whether it's friendships, family, acquaintances, work, intimate, and intimate being boyfriend, girlfriend, what have you. Um, so I'm in hermit mode, hardcore, and I didn't plan it. It kind of just happened on it. Um, my husband and I separated. That man, I was like, that is the love of my life. My whole world has crashed, and I went through it. But while I was going through it, I decided I'm gonna date, right? So we split up in September. November, I knew I was ready to date. No, I was not. But I downloaded dating apps and I started talking to people, and it kept reaffirming that I was not ready. People want to hang out, and like suddenly I was too busy. I was not busy. I would just like be at home watching Netflix or Hulu or whatever. Um, so I kept saying like, why do you keep putting yourselves in this situation if you're not ready? So I had to pause it. And by pausing it, I mean deleting all dating apps, hanging out with my friends, reconnecting to myself, and being in hermit mode then. Mind you, that was 2 years ago. So fast forward a year later, around like May, June, I decided, okay, I think I'm ready now. Um, I've healed. I want to start meeting people, join the apps again. And I'm flirting, I'm meeting with people, I'm talking to people. Not really meeting with them, like matching with them on the apps, talking to them, maybe exchanging numbers, maybe not. And I realized I was ready, but not fully ready. I want to step outside my comfort zone, but not all the way, right? Um, so I went into my past and I reconnected with my first love. And that was a wild ride, honestly. Um, it was a wild ride when we dated because we were kids. I was like 14, 15. Um, we didn't have like a real relationship. It was like back when boyfriends and girlfriends would like be phone boyfriend and girlfriends, and then like maybe you would see them like once every couple months, and like y'all would kiss and like, oh my god, we're in love. But truth is, like, as your first love, it's like puppy love, right? So that's what it was, puppy love. And oh my gosh, um being older and now deciding to reconnect with him, everything was going to be different, right? Because now we're going to have a more grown-up situation. But at the same time, I wasn't fully ready. And I'm saying that like hindsight being 2020, because I still had hurt that I didn't work through from him as my first love, and then hurt from my husband. But we'll get to that. So I reach out to him, cause your girl ain't want a new body, and asked him to make time for me, and he did. Um, that was one thing that he always did. He made time for me, and I loved it because who else was making time for me but me? So now I had somebody else making time for me, and I would go to his house and like hang out with him, and um, he actually put me on to like a lot of shows that I still watch. Um, we did a lot of the things that he liked to do, and I met his friends and kind of came. I was more immersed into his world than he was in mine, and that was step one that I should have realized I wasn't ready, but I didn't because that's who I am in a relationship. I'm very much like, oh, you like to do this? Let's do it all the time. Let's, but like, I like to do things too, but it's okay because you may not like to do the things that I like to do, and I may not like to do the things that you like to do, but I'm going to do the things you want to do with no regard to how I felt. That's how you continue and reinforce a really negative self relationship, by having outwardly negative relationships. Okay, so we're hanging out, we're doing the things that he likes to do, we're watching movies, we're not really leaving the house much, which was cool with me because when I would go to see him, I didn't have my daughter. So I didn't have to be a mommy. I could just be Ashley, who, in all of it, becoming a mother, becoming a wife, I had lost her. So it felt really good to just be Ashley. He at one point said, like, I feel like you feel like coming here is a vacation. I'm like, it is. And there's nothing wrong with that because I get a mommy break and I need one. Okay, so things progressed and he invited me to Miami. So now we going on a vacation. I didn't even go on vacations with my husband. So this was a lot for me, but I went. It was exciting. Had a really good time, despite some things, but like, I had a really good time with him. I always had a really good time with him, just independently. It would be when he got around certain people that he would need to put on, and I didn't like that. And that's when I didn't really like him. But I kept hanging out with him when he would be around other people. Red flag, ho. But I didn't take the red flag. So came back from Miami. Everything's still good. He keeps wanting to progress the relationship, but I was not ready. And in telling him I wasn't ready, I was never met with, I understand that, I respect that, let's go at your pace. I was always met with how I was selfish and how I wasn't fair and what did I expect him to do. But it was also kind of the situation how I felt that I never told him we had to exclusively date. So I expected him to still date and find other people. And if he found a match that was perfect for him, that was fine for me. Because I never knew when I was going to be ready. But I knew that I wanted to try with him. Because I really did like him. So that was like a frequent sore subject, but we still hung out. We still did things together. He came with me to like my bestie Ashley's birthday. And he went to his Friendsgiving, which he was like mad about that I didn't go to. But like, it was her birthday. Duh, I'm turning up with my friend. It's her birthday. It was no other day. It was her exact birthday too. So that was like a sore subject because then it started to become, you don't ever want to do anything with my friends. And I'm like, I always do stuff with you with your friends. You don't do shit with me with my friends. But this one thing that you did when you came to her birthday. So then we started keeping score and it was like a tit for tat thing. And I don't really like that. And I don't think it should be that way in relationships because there could be more times when you're down than you know about it. And there could be more times when I'm down. And when you're in a relationship with somebody, you're not counting. You're just there for them. That's my opinion. Um, so then he started doing things for himself. I ended up getting COVID, and we were planning to go. He was planning to go away for his birthday. He wanted me to come, so we ended up going. But I got COVID. Then we were supposed to go on a date. He was kind of sort of sick. I had just been getting over from COVID, so like he didn't come with me. Um, Needless to say, he met somebody else, and she was doing all the things that I wasn't. Cool. We exchanged Christmas gifts really late. He ended up telling me he met the other girl, and I told him that he should go and invest his time there. Did that hurt me? Absolutely. Was I very nonchalant about it? Absolutely. A couple reasons why. Um, Everybody's personal happiness is most important. So if you're with me and I'm keeping you from your personal happiness and from the things that you want for yourself in a relationship, you should no longer seek to be with me. You should seek to find what you need for yourself. Also, I was not looking for exclusivity. So I expected him to continue to date and do the things that he wanted to do. He had made it a choice that he was not doing that. And then told me that he told me about the other girl so we could build trust. But I was like, how is this building trust? It just sounds like you want to date with somebody else, and like, that's cool with me. Like, I'm cool not being somebody you're dating anymore. But he was still somebody I genuinely cared about. So the doors never closed. He could always call me. He could always reach out to me. He could text me, what have you. And we did still talk. So the initial nature of our relationship where it was like, boo, babe, those type of things, like it needed to end, right? So then we wanted to maintain, I guess, like a friends with benefits situation. So we had been doing that and it was working. I had to work around his schedule with his new boo. Which, after a while, I was kind of just like, yo, I'm not a secret. And if you're going to treat me as such, like, I'm good to just walk away. That was a problem. Which makes sense. Like, it should be a problem because I entered into this situation acting as though I could be fine with it being a secret. But, like, man, I'm too freaking cool to be a secret, honestly. And, like, if we're just friends and, like, we can take sex off the table, then why am I a secret? That's weird to me. Because, like, he wasn't a secret to my husband. My husband and I got cool. And he knew, like, I went with him to the Bahamas. Because that's where he went for his birthday. He knew that him and I would hang out and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was never a secret. My husband still being my husband. So, there was that. So then, we continued to just be friends with benefits, not offering anything more to each other. And I just explained that I kind of wanted more. And he said he couldn't give it to me. And I was like, that's fine, but I'm not asking for it from you. Then that was a problem. And I couldn't understand why that was a problem. And when I finally got to like the meat of it, it was kind of like an unfairness. Like, I wasn't ready when he was ready. Now that I'm ready, he doesn't want to do it. And like, how is that fair? And it's kind of just like, that's life. Everybody's not going to come to the table and be prepared for everything when you are. And you just ebb and flow with it to the best of your ability. Now, things got crazy because we still kept dealing with each other through August. As I said, I ended it in August. And I had to really just let it go because the arguments were too frequent for the nature of the situation that we were dealing with each other. And I couldn't justify arguing with him anymore and what it was doing to me. Constantly having to defend myself and my point of view and who I was as a person was exhausting to me. And it felt not fair because then I felt unseen. I felt unseen, unheard, and I had to step back into my power and be the boss of a woman I had come to be when I met him, because we met again. So in my shower, getting all ready to go be a real estate agent, a realtor, I realized that I was being challenged to see my worth. And my worth was what I had gained and learned in healing and spending time alone. And it had to be with him. And I say that it had to be with him because my first love, he started it all for me. Yeah, I'm a daddy's girl, so my dad was my first love, right? Like, my dad was like top notch, creme de la creme. If you don't do this for me as a man, then like go. But let's be realistic, I'm not ever gonna marry my father, right? I'm gonna look for the traits that my father has in other people. And there were some really similar traits. I mean, my dad's a Capricorn. My first love's a Capricorn. My husband's a Capricorn. Clearly, I got a thing for a Capricorn. But also in that was my dad and I could laugh and joke and watch shows that he liked to watch and have similar interests and like do things together. And in a partner, I love that. And those are things that I had with him. Like, just being able to laugh. Like, and not like chuckle. Like, belly laugh. Like, tears, cracking up, wanting to stop laughing because my stomach hurts so bad. All those kind of things. And then interest. Like, literally, shows that I love to watch now are shows he put me onto. Things that he opened my mind to about. And that's what my dad did for me. He will open my mind to like a genre. And then I'd be like, I want to watch everything. So that was pretty cool. Like, and then we also had a connection, like first love. Like, I think we were each other's first love. And that was huge. But when you criticize who I am as an individual, when you make me feel less than what I'm worth, and I know what my worth is, I had to go. And I think a different version of Ashley could have stayed in that. But that's not who I was anymore. And I didn't want to be that person. So I had to reaffirm the relationship with me. I had to reaffirm that I was in my number one priority. And frequently when we get in these relationships as women, or even as men, but I gotta speak from the female perspective, that we get caught up in the honeymoon stage, as they call it. And we are so swept away with the little things. Like, for my birthday, he got me a cake. He got me flowers. Like, oh my God, I loved it. Just very genuine of a person. But then the criticizing of me, I started to look at myself and I didn't know who I was. Not to mention, my face broke out. And it was disgusting how my face broke out. And one thing I pride myself on is having like really beautiful, clear skin after going through acne really bad through puberty. So like, no, my face broke out. I struggled with like my self-image after a while. I didn't always feel pretty. Like, I had to have my hair done. I had to have my nails done. I had to do all of these things to make me feel great, when like I had gotten to a place where like my hair could be in a messy bun on top of my head and like I was fly. So it was almost like at some point, how I'm picturing this, and I gotta give it to you the way I'm picturing it, is it's this version of me that remained stuck and this version of me that bossed up, right? And this version of me took the boxing gloves off and said, all right, gloves off, let's go. Who's gonna win? But in that moment, I looked at this version that was still hurting and said, we don't need to fight. I still need to love you and love on you and protect you. Because to some degree, that's my inner child who still needed love. And not because she wasn't loved by her parents, but because the first guy that she ever gave her heart to didn't know how to love her. And then re-meeting him and realizing he still didn't know how to love her. And that was hard because I learned how to love me. So I walked away. I trusted the United States Postal Service to let me walk away. I wrote a letter. Because one thing him and I have in common is we're both the youngest and we're both spoiled and we're both stubborn. So in no conversation that we had did we ever hear what the other person was saying. We wanted to be heard individually and acknowledged and that be enough. And it didn't happen. So what I understood in that shower was I completed that cycle of letting somebody else dictate how I loved me and how they could show up for me and love me. And that it was completely okay to walk away when love was no longer being served. I don't deny that he didn't love me. That man loved me. And I don't deny that I love him, even still. I love him absolutely for free. And I love him for absolutely who he is. But who he is can't sustain a relationship with who I am and who I'm becoming. And so much of that was just about loving me and putting me first. And it feels really good, really freaking good to be in that place. Because I hadn't been for so long. So, that relationship reaffirmed my self-worth for myself. Because sometimes you gotta be dragged back to a level when you're developing a relationship with yourself and working on the relationship with yourself to know, this ain't it. This ain't gonna work for me. And I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for that lesson, but I'm also grateful for the opportunity to have revisited that situation with him. Because he's a great guy. And anybody who gets him, so lucky. Because his heart and the way he cares is so pure. It really is. But it just didn't work. And it's okay. And I think that was something I also had to learn, that it's just okay. So much of what happened with my husband I saw as a failure. Because we didn't do like the 2.5 kids, white the house, white picket fence, all that, bullshit that they feed to us. Society feeds to us. But it's okay. Because that's not the end of my story. And it may not be the end of me and that guy's story or me and my husband's story. But it's not the end. And it's okay for it to be a stopping point in a situation. Wow. I hadn't journaled about this, but this felt really, really good. Thank you for watching this far, if you've gotten this far. Thank you for listening. I appreciate any feedback, honestly. I don't know the next download or the next part of this relationship aspect that I'm going to give to you. Because as it comes to me, I give it out. But I'm really excited to do it. And I'm really excited to explore all of this and unpack it. Because I think so often we get caught up that every relationship is outside of us and like we don't need to do anything about it, but we do. And it threw me into hermit mode for me to do what I needed to do. Again, thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, whatever. And until we meet again.